Hi everyone, my name is Mark Godwin from Florida Youth Soccer Association. I have to announce that tonight's webinar is going to be recorded, so make sure we pay attention, and if you have any questions, please utilize the chat feature that we have, which is somewhere on your screen. On mine it's down in the right hand corner, but I found out last night it was down on the left hand side. So let's make sure we pay attention, and if you've got any questions, please send them through. We have people in the background checking on those all the time. So welcome to this presentation on what I'm calling the Introduction to Soccer program. I think this is going to be a fun and interactive session that we're going to do tonight. It's come about that, you know, with the AGM coming up in August, wasn't quite going to happen the way we originally planned. This was meant to be an in-person session that we were going to do there, and unfortunately now we've had to adapt and come up with these pre-AGM webinars, which I still think are going to be fantastic for everyone going forward, and there's more to come, so please look forward to the ones that are coming up in the near future. So I think everyone's getting used to the new normal. It's kind of interesting having to deal with this. If you're like me, you have to go through a lot of these webinars every day, and you're probably seeing things like this happen. And that's the best explosion sound I could find. But this is my day-to-day look at the moment, and as you can see there on that screen, I'm pictured with the background of Fratton Park from my hometown of Portsmouth. I'm joined by a great group of coaches. One of them, Dave Yates, is the technical director in Oklahoma. I've also got Lloyd Yaxley there, who's the current goalkeeping coach with the Orlando Pride. John Ritchie's on there, who was the goalkeeping coach at Everton Football Club, and I now believe he's gone off to Bury FC in England. Stephen McKenna, who's currently the assistant women's coach at North Carolina State University. So this is the new norm, and I often think about, you know, I'd seen this picture before, and if you're like me, I'm now 51 years of age, you can probably remember this. It looks so much alike, doesn't it? So, you know, it's nice to have a bit of fun going forward. But as I mentioned, behind the scenes tonight, we've got several people. I know Joel Dragon, our executive director, is currently on. There's Jared White, our director of communications. And I don't think Jonathan Spradley is on tonight, but he's our coordinator of events. But they're going to be working behind the scenes and keep me up to date with the questions that come forward. I'd like to introduce you to our coaching education department team. I mean, most of you probably know us. Some of you who are on here may not. So the most important part of our team is our director of coaching. That is Mike Strickler, and he's the one who steers our ship in the coaching education department. Some of you may know that Mike has probably been with FYSA for I think over 150 years, but the reality is, no, it's 20 plus years. But over his time, there's been a lot of changes go on within coaching education, and we also are geared towards really developing our parent education and not just the player development as well. So there's a lot of different parts of our game that come under Mike's umbrella. That's me, Mark Godwin. I'm the assistant director of coaching, and I'm specifically here geared towards the recreation side of things. And this is what this presentation tonight is all about. There's also Andrew Simpson. He's our coaching education program manager. He does a phenomenal job, and a lot of you I know out there have probably contacted him in scheduling coaching courses going forward. So he's the person that you may need to contact as well when we talk about this program tonight. There's also Ziggy Nagel, and Ziggy is heavily involved in our Olympic development program, and it's one thing that, among others, that we're very proud of. Our ODP is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, in the country, and you know, we have a lot of players that move on from that onto the next level, whether it be collegiate soccer and then professional, but they all start somewhere, and that somewhere is recreational soccer. With that, we pretty much have covered the globe, well, at least some of it anyway. So we got people from different parts of the world, It's kind of interesting to interact between Ziggy and myself, being from Britain and England and Germany. But we all have a fantastic working relationship, and we get the job done. And you know, I think that's important because we're here for you guys, and that's important for everyone to know. Also, as part of the coaching education department, we're one of the largest ones in the country. I think Joel mentioned it the other night in one of his presentations that he was amazed when he came here at how many there were actually involved on the coaching side of things. We have 4 full-time people in the office, but we also go a little bit further beyond that. So our actual breakdown, we have 6 US soccer lead instructors. We're looking to grow that. We have 30 plus US soccer grassroots licensed instructors, and that's phenomenal. And we're also looking to grow that. We're looking towards the future. The bottom line is, if we want to increase coaching education, we need to increase our instructional staff. With that, we've got to make sure we stay up to date. Some of the things that we're currently working on are different programs that make sure our staff provide the best possible coaching education there is. So we're trying to stay one step ahead of the game. So getting towards tonight's presentation, the introduction to soccer program. What really is it about and how does it work? Well, I've got to be honest. When it comes to the idea for this, I would love to take full credit for it, but it's not a new idea. I've worked with a program that's been very similar to this in the past, and it stood the test of time because I know the company that I used to work for many years ago are still using it. It was a part of a program that I wrote, and it's been adapted. And I've taken it and took it a step further to really be beneficial to the membership clubs that we have here in Florida. It's designed to bring soccer beyond the club environment. By that I mean, you know, most players go out there and they practice, and the only time they see the soccer field or a soccer ball sometimes is actually in the club environment. I'm looking to change that and bring it into the home. And, you know, there's a lot of programs out there that's done that, but this is the ideal time for this to happen. With COVID-19, I saw some phenomenal videos go out there, which we've shared on our Facebook page and within our Twitter feeds as well, about players getting together with their families at home and conducting soccer beyond the club. And I'd love to see that. I think we can really take this to a next level. So this program is not just about the volunteer coach. It's about the parent. It's about the child. And it's combining education for all of them in one place. So whose idea really was this? It actually originated from Soccer Academy in Virginia many, many years ago. Some of you may have heard of Soccer Academy, but if you haven't, it was created by a gentleman by the name of John Ellis, who currently resides here in Florida. John started this company in 1981, and it survived the test of time until today and still is running the camp programs and are integrated with several clubs as well. So who is John Ellis? I mean, he's impacted so many, but, you know, I think it's important to know who he really is and where he came from. So John, he's a former Royal Marine Commando. As I mentioned earlier, founded Soccer Academy in '81 and developed so many programs in the Northern Virginia and Maryland area. He's developed so many top-level coaches. And when I say that, there's so many. I came through his mentorship as well as so many others, such as Sarah Churchill. I mean, I think she's now known as Sarah Strickland, and she coaches at Appalachian State in North Carolina. There's also Jay Entlick. Jay Entlick's been part of the U.S. national staff for many, many years. John ended up becoming an assistant coach to April Heinrichs for the women's national team. And April is another coach who came through the Soccer Academy system. Right now, Paul Ellis, his son, is continuing the legacy of Soccer Academy. He's also currently the technical director for Southwestern Youth Soccer Association in Northern Virginia. And he's also a scout for US soccer at several FIFA World Cups and the Olympic Games. He's coached several youth national teams and is part of the US Youth Soccer regional staff as well. The last one needs no introduction, I think. John's daughter, Jill, is obviously the former US women's national team head coach, champion of 2 FIFA World Cups. And to be quite honest, I think that's enough said. The bottom line is she did a phenomenal job with the women's national team to be able to win back-to-back World Cups. But that's the family that started Soccer Academy. So when it comes to a pedigree and creating new innovative programs, certainly the knowledge and content that came out from this is phenomenal. So now let's get into what the Introduction to Soccer program is all about. It's a program that's geared towards new players and parents, but also the coaches as well. So I can't leave them out. It's a way to introduce parents to coaching. I think this is one thing that we're going to talk a little bit about later that is important, because outside of the coaching environment, what do our players get? They need, if we want to change culture, to start doing more at home. And as I mentioned, culture. We have to change our soccer culture. We have to adapt and evolve to move forward, because eventually I foresee not only just the US women's national team being successful, I want to see the men's national team be successful as well. And in order to do that, we have to see soccer go beyond just the club environment. So how are we going to change that soccer culture? If we look at the recreational player today, the average player only plays soccer for about 1 to 2 hours. Is that enough? I don't think so. I came from an environment when I was just a young soccer player where I was probably playing soccer every day of the week. Any time I got that was free time, it was out there playing soccer on the field, in the streets, you name it. I was a big part of that. So let's bring our parents and the children together to work on soccer in their own environment. Let's see if we can bring families together, create something that's unique within the soccer world, and move players on to the next level. So in all honesty, it could become fun, enjoyable, and not only that, quality family time in which, you know, this situation that we're in now could go beyond the COVID-19. We're starting to see more creative family time right now. Can we take it in the soccer environment as well? So part of the program is to create a positive parenting situation. And I found this little cartoon to be quite humorous. If you see there, open your eyes, nurse, my son is crying, change his diaper. And that's parental rage in the early stages. And let's be honest, we start to see that a lot of times on the sidelines in soccer. So hopefully part of this program is geared towards educating those parents who haven't had the experience of being fans of the game of soccer, and creating a better environment for our players to enjoy the sport. So taking it further, what is the program really about? We still have new incoming players whose parents never really experienced the great game of soccer. You know, when I started years ago in the coaching game and started coaching courses for US soccer, 80 to 90% of those rooms that I was teaching in, the actual candidates had never experienced the game themselves, but they volunteered to help develop young players. That's starting to change, but there's still a huge percentage that still did not experience the great game of soccer when they were younger. I don't want to single them out, because this is even a great experience for the seasoned pros in the game. You know, there's no end to development. So hopefully, even those seasoned pros will be able to get something from this. It's about coaching the parent on how to coach their own player. I think that's the key. I've been around, you know, several areas, several different residencies, and seen so many kids and parents out there in their front yards throwing a baseball, throwing a football. But can we change that? We are slowly starting to see change with more soccer goals going up in front yards, but can we really start to change that and get our parents playing soccer with their child in the front yards as well? This would be a huge advantage in player development. Any club is going to benefit from this. If we can change that, then going forward, we're going to have a better experience for all within our soccer programs. The great thing about this is the parent education piece. We add something to this program which will help our parents become true fans of the game. There's also a piece that discusses correct soccer equipment. And I think this is important because how many times have you gone out there and as a parent, you go out there and look at soccer equipment and you say, well, I think I'll buy the next size up in cleats and I'll get that for my son or daughter. That's a no-no, because only with those situations, you're putting a child's foot in a shoe that's way too big, which means it's going to move in there. That causes blistering. So it's important to understand that the correct size shoe, goalkeeping gloves for goalkeepers and things like that. How do we deal with that? The correct size of soccer ball. I've always gone out there and seen 3, 4, 5-year-olds working with a size 5 ball. There's a reason why there is different sizes in soccer balls. It really helps a player at the youngest ages develop. So the program itself, how is it going to work? Phase 1 of the program pretty much has parents and players arrive to meet their new coach for recreational soccer and the club officials, an introduction to them at the soccer field. I've seen it done different ways where we've actually added a piece where the coaches actually pick up their equipment, the uniforms and so forth, and parents get to meet that coach for the first time and see the schedule as well for the upcoming season. I've also seen clubs actually put this in place where they're conducting it as their first game day. And it's a wonderful thing to see because now you've got that captive audience. Players and the volunteer coaches at this point will then go off to one side onto the field and they will work on fun activities. Rather than do drills, we want these young players and these coaches to understand that we would prefer an activity-based program which will help the fun environment for players to develop. That will go a little bit further later on, and you'll see that in our presentation. Phase 3, the parents at the same time will be working with our lead instructor or your lead instructor, because this program's been designed for the club to actually host it themselves. The lead instructor will actually work on coaching the parents on different techniques in the game of soccer. And then they will get a chance to work with their own child and the complete staff can go around and help educating them. It's a wonderful interactive program to watch. Phase 4, the players will go back and participate in more fun activities when the parents can actually be taught and educated on what it is to become a real fan of the game. We all know that when a 6-year-old kicks a ball 30 yards down a field, parents cheer like crazy, but they're cheering for something that's probably a bad situation because all that child's done is strike a ball and given it to the other team or kicked it out of bounds. So to the child, that cheering means they've done something correct. So can we get them to understand more about the game of soccer? What really is the right moments to cheer on your players? That will also go a long way to help in their development. The last part of the actual introduction to soccer is where we go back out onto the field and we watch an actual game in place. It's only for about 10 minutes, but we can also assist our parents in understanding what is going on out there on the field. There's an added bonus to this program as well. Parents will actually, because they understand more about the game, may in fact volunteer the following year. I conducted these programs at my own club many years ago in Louisiana, and I saw a huge increase in the number of parents that said, well, I can do this now, and they stepped up to the plate. It was one of the biggest challenges I had, and I think you guys, if you're involved in the recreational game, come across this all the time. You know, the season's a couple of weeks away and you've still got 40 teams to fill with coaches. It's a nightmare. So part of this program can really assist you in getting those coaches or the parents to step up to the plate and become coaches. I've added another little cartoon here. The coaches for these younger kids get a good workout. And there's no doubt about it. It could be beneficial to you as a person as well. But they have to try and coach and referee at the same time. That's the benefits. Because again, when we stick referees out there with these younger kids, a referee will blow a whistle and point in a direction wherever the throw-in has to go, wherever the free kick is going. But they don't explain to the child what's gone wrong. A parent, volunteer coach will in fact try to educate at this point. And that's one thing that's much needed. But as you can see from the second part of the cartoon, look at that interaction. There's no doubt about it. And you'll see that happen sometimes. So what is the basis of this curriculum? Where did it come from? It came from the National Youth Coaching course. The material that we utilize for the actual activities that we do are all from this. It is one of the best coaching courses that the US has had for many, many years. I remember taking mine back in, I think it was 2000, and you had to be part of the youth development side of things. You became the child during this course, and it was great. My inner child came out, and I had so much fun. But here's a short video about what this coaching course is all about.
The National Youth License course is about the phrase that Dr. Ron Quinn came up with, which is the game in the child. And a big piece of what we're saying is the game of soccer is already inside every kid. And then the art of coaching, the craft of coaching, is being able to bring that out to the surface.
As we get older and have been in the sport for a long time, we have a tendency to freeze in our knowledge and to freeze in our approach. And it's always important to have new opinions and new ways of looking at things. It makes you a better coach, and it makes you able to reach out to other people.
A big piece of what we're getting across to the coaches is that as the adults, they're the ones who have to adjust to the children. And so a piece of what we talk about in the course is the psychological stage, the social stage at which children grow. And so at these very young ages, a year, 2 years makes a huge difference. And so that's a big piece of what we get across to the coaches in this course as to what changes are going to occur and what's realistic for each stage and for them to be able to coach those different stages.
You know, the younger ages are a really fun group. The U6s, U8s, U10s, U12s are just such a fun-loving group because they're just so energetic. And so I think now when you take all that energy and you can channel in the right direction, I think that this course is really going to give me the information I need to make the most out of what those kids bring out to the field.
A lot of what we're getting across of a more player-centered environment, how to coach with a little bit more guided discovery and less direct direction from the coaches so that the players can think more for themselves, make more of their own decisions. That has a huge impact in time in the way that the kids play the game.
The National Youth License is, I think, a very important course, and we have to give our younger players a base. And I think we'll have better players at 15 and 16 if we do a better job when they're younger. But what the research is showing is at the U12 level, you get more dropouts from athletics and soccer in particular. And so I think that with this course, if we can, bring the kids up in the right training environment and as coaches train them the way that, the research has shown us that's most positive, then we can retain some of those kids and it can just be a win-win for soccer and for the United States as a whole.
So the National Youth Coaching course, as I say, was one of the best courses I'd ever taken. It's evolved over time. It's now known as the National Youth Diploma and is part of the United Soccer Coaches coaching curriculum. And USC is another organization that we have partnered with FYSA and conduct their courses as well. So part of it is understanding what the game of soccer should really look like at 6 and under. And this one's great because this is what it is. It's the amoeba out there on the soccer ball, out there on the soccer field rather, and wherever the soccer ball is, you'll find that amoeba moves around with it. That's soccer at under 6. And again, trying to understand and grasp the concept of what we can do to help develop it from there. That's what this course is all about. And this is one of the reasons why we put this together. So what's important to know? We've developed a complete curriculum and can provide that to our member clubs so that you can implement this program on your own. You don't need us to be there. A lot of our clubs are big enough now and have a professional coaching staff that they can do that. This is part of the member benefits that we have here at FYSA. I think it's important for us to come up with ideas and concepts to be innovative and share those with our membership. But for those smaller clubs who don't have the professional staff, FYSA can send our staff out there and conduct these programs for a small fee, or you can utilize the FYSA bucks that your club has as well. It's a great way to move forward. So the one thing we want to try and do is give your club an identity. And when you have the parents there as a captive audience with the players, you can actually share some of the things that your club has to offer. And it gives them a bigger picture of what they're part of. A lot of times you go out there and say, well, you know, who do you really play for? And a 6-year-old's response will be something like the Cotton Candy Girls. They have no idea who the club is. This lays the foundation for the future and gives them a better understanding. So when I talk about the future, we're trying to build a better future by putting the players first. Hopefully we can do this. This is our goal when we work together as a member organization. We want to see this happen. We want to share as much information with our membership as we possibly can. So hopefully we will begin to see more of this. Parents and their children participating in the game of soccer. So with a bit of luck, we'll be able to create things like the backyard games. And here's a short video about some backyard games that you can implement today.
This is a game that Dutch kids used to play on the streets of Amsterdam. They'd place a brick on top of a curb, and the point is scored when the brick is knocked over. All you need are 3 things of different heights and 3 objects to go on top of them, preferably things that won't break. You can do this by yourself, with a friend, or with your parents. First, set up your 4 objects at different heights. Here we used a bucket, a box, a trash can, and a folding chair. Then set the target, or brick, on top.
Ready, set, go!
Now you can race against your friends, your parents, or the clock to see who can knock down the most bricks first. If you are playing by yourself, try to beat your best time. But remember, hitting the trash can or bucket does not count. If you do that, set it back up and try again.
I'll see you next time for another backyard game.
And we look forward to sharing more events like this and sessions like this with you going forward as part of the future of Florida Youth Soccer Association. We want to create players that have a freedom to express themselves, because otherwise we start to see conversations like this. The reason they can play that good is their parents aren't yelling at them from the sidelines. We've all seen this happen. It hinders the growth of our players. We want to see our players have that freedom to go out there and make decisions for themselves. But all this comes from educating the players. We have to go back and educate the parents as well. That way, we can create the right environment for all our players to grow. Now, some of the things that you may have seen before is changes to the game. And, you know, several years ago, we went through a lot of these changes from US Soccer, where we changed the age grouping of players. And there were a lot of complaints about that. We also changed the format in which players played. We went to a true model format that under 8s, we were going to work at 4v4. Under 10s, we're going to be 7v7. Under 12s, we're going to be 9v9. And obviously the 11v11 game starts at 13 and above. Those have been made and put in place. Most of our members certainly are applying those to the game today. But years ago, the game was played differently. And a lot of our parents expect the 11v11 game to be played at the younger age. Part of the education process of this is getting them to understand why we don't do that anymore. And there's a great video that I want to show that the FA from England created many years ago about the situations and why we needed to adapt soccer going forward for our young players. This is how a game appears to a young player. That goal was specifically made for this video that's coming up in a minute. It was 9 feet by 32 feet, a huge goal, not regulation size. But to a young player, 11-year-old playing at this age group, playing on the 11v11 field, that's how the goal feels. And you'll see in the video, the size of the field was adjusted as well. We want to create the right environment.
Hi, my name's Imogen and I'm here at the FA St George's Park to help grown-ups understand what it's like for us kids to play on pitches that are far too big for us. I've been playing football for 3 years now, and last year when I turned 11, I had to play on a full-size pitch The goals were massive and the pitch was so big that only the biggest kids could keep up. Our goalie couldn't even kick the ball to the halfway line. Some of my friends stopped playing for the team and it just wasn't as fun. We're here today to see how grown-ups would feel on a pitch that's about this big. We're using a super-sized goal, which is the same size as if my keeper stood in an 11-a-side goal. The goal is this wide and this high.
It's too big for me.
The FA have drawn out this pitch, which is the same for adults as it is for kids playing on a full-size pitch, so they understand what it's like for me to take a corner, which is all the way over there. We've got some kids coaches here today to play on the pitch and to see if they agree with us that we need to match kids' pitches to our side. And to give them a hand, we've got former England player Steve Hodge on the team. Let's have some fun. What was that?
Okay.
Oh dear. That was rubbish.
Good tiring, isn't it? Too tiring for me.
What did you think then?
I thought that was very hard. It was kind of looking up and where's my teammates? Where are they? Can't quite see them because they're so far away. And it was a big pitch and kicking the ball a long way was really hard work. So it wasn't that enjoyable, to be fair.
Just so big. The corners, I took a corner and didn't get anywhere near.
I felt like I was really lost on the pitch, you know. I didn't feel like I was part of the game.
What did you think then?
It was a wonderful experience, but it opened my eyes. It's a very, very big goal, and I'm 6'3". I'm used to standing in front of a goal, but I found it very daunting.
Cold November morning, if you're stood at the other end of the pitch, it's, you know, that kid's not involved in the game. They're freezing cold, and the likelihood is 6 weeks down the line they're not playing anymore.
The only way you were going to get it anywhere near the goal was by booting it. It just didn't allow anyone to play some decent football.
Well, it reminded me of being an 11-year-old and feeling very small and not being able to clear the halfway line. And the big, strong lads were the ones who got to the front and ended up being picked for the bigger teams.
It didn't get me any enjoyment out of there, or I didn't really want to be on the pitch.
Now do you see why they should make the pitch the right size for me?
Absolutely, I think the FA is spot on. I think they've got it right with you kids because that pitch is far too big for you. It's far too big for me as well. So the FA are doing the right thing when they can giving you a smaller pitch. You can get more touches of the ball, enjoy the game more, and play it more, and hopefully get a lot better as well. I think you're right what you're saying.
Thank you.
And I think that's an important piece, because part of the parent education side of things is a lot of parents want their child, because they only see the big game on TV, to play the big game. But it's important to understand that we need to walk before we can run. And in order to develop players, and I had this fight and challenge many years ago at one of my clubs that I work with, where the under-8 division, some of the club, in fact, even the board of directors wanted them to play the 7v7 or even an 8v8 format. But it was too soon for these kids. They would lose the benefits of the multiple touches on the ball on the smaller field size. So we have to educate the parents as they come in as to what's going to help their child develop for the future. And all this plays into our new FYSA mission. Over the last 18 months, we've been working very, very hard behind the scenes to do things slightly differently here. And we've seen the new branding coming out. This is the ideal time right now as we move forward. It's almost a hitting the restart button that we can go out there and really apply some of the lessons that we've learned. And our board and staff have gone through some pretty interesting discussions to change the way we look at things for the future. So our new mission is we want to become more united, working together with our membership for a common goal. The leadership side of things, we want to be motivating the membership to help us achieve our goals and also help them achieve theirs. This is what this program is all about, to be innovative, to introduce new ideas or program into our membership and share that with them. And I want to see us come together as a group where our members actually share things with each other. That'll be kind of interesting going forward. When we say interesting, that would inspire me. We want to be able to excite, encourage, and breathe new life into everything that we do. And then we create that passion for the game. The reason why these parents volunteer to be coaches or get involved in the game, because there is a little bit of passion there. Can we enhance that? It's the reason why we do what we do. And then there's our vision. We want to become the trusted voice known for providing programs, creating partnerships, and developing opportunities for all. For me, that says it all. That's what FYSA is all about. Going out there and working with everybody. And that plays into our values. What do we value? Well, we want to make it fun. We want to ignite that passion, celebrate successes, and create a culture of joy. We want to be respected. You want to be respected. Trust in each other. Value differences, honor ideas, beliefs, and backgrounds. That's what we want to do. It's got to be done with integrity. Being honest, doing the right thing, and having moral standards. And with that, there's got to be empathy. You know, I often hear and you know, people do say they listen, but to a certain extent, there is a difference between listening and hearing. You know, I hear a lot of things, but sometimes I don't listen. I've got to change that. I have to listen to everybody now. And that way we can start to grow and move forward. And then comes the learning. We never stop learning. My father, who's been a coach for many, many years, coached with the England youth setup years ago, now 83, will watch a game on TV and he says, he always will come up and say, I've learned something today. So we never stop learning. We've got to keep challenging ourselves, educating, developing, and growing. That's important. We've got to strive to be better in the future. But the most important thing to me, and you can see it within this program, is family. That's the end product. We want to be a big family, be a group that works together. And with that, we see games going on all over the country, all over the state of Florida. We want to create a better environment for growth. Players respond better to positive reinforcement. We talk about that. When players are enjoying what they are doing, they don't know how hard they're working. And that's the difference between a drill and an activity. Activities are fun. Drills can be a little bit boring. But to a lot of parents, they see a drill as actual coaching. We want to see them in a more activity-based environment, something that's more game-like, more realistic. Building a brighter future for our players. One of the things we talk about is we're always getting new players come and join us. But what about player retention? Players will continue to return if they're enjoying their experience of the great game of soccer. So fun, energy is something kids have an abundance of. Can we nurture that and throw it into our training sessions? Enjoyment, understanding that difference between activities and drill. And then growth. Again, I mentioned the fact that we have so many players that come into the sport as a new player, but we're not seeing huge numbers of growth across the board. And that's because we're losing players, as mentioned earlier. We want to keep those players in the game. How do we do that? We make sure they have the best possible environment and an enjoyable one as well. So let's try together to put an end to this type of coaching and parenting. It's not good for anybody. Watch this. Some of you may remember this movie from a few years back. I think it was 2005.
Children learn a lot about life from sports. Teamwork, discipline, and fair play. Values that can only be passed on by a kind, caring, mature head coach.
We got to pummel them at all costs. I want you to play dirty if you have to, but don't get caught. Hit the field. Let's go. What was that?
I thought I had the shot.
You thought? You're thinking like a crazy person. Grab some bench. Hey, you just restored the point of humiliation. How does that feel? Get off me! Pick up that piece of trash, Tom. Tuck in your shirt. What are you doing? Have a sense of pride. In fact, why don't you take a lap? Go! Faster!
You called a group of 10-year-olds losers.
Dad, you gotta lighten up.
I'm doing this all for you. We have fun, huh? Fun, right? Fun.
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah, huh?
I think I still have that warm-up suit in my closet. But with all being said, that is not a great way to develop players, and it's not a positive way to parent. So we need to get a grip of things. So when we get these volunteer coaches, can we put them all on the same page? Here's a question that was asked by a club representative. What's your #1 qualification as a coach? And you can see the various different types of coach. We've got the drill sergeant coach who turned raw recruits into fighting machines. Inspiration, he can offer that because he played pro football. Experience, I played soccer on my prep school team. Leadership, a vice president of a major corporation who has 36 people working under him. And then the one that we typically always see, I was available. Hopefully we see more of those come up. Those are the ones we want to get at. The true volunteer coaches. So once we get them, can we get them working on the right things? Quick cartoon here. I don't get it. Every practice we dribble around these cones, but we never play against cones in games. So can we avoid the things that are the 3 L's? The no lines, the no laps, the no lectures. It's part of that education piece that's all included in this presentation that we do. The introduction to soccer. The other thing we have to understand is these days it's tough being a kid. I know that from my 14-year-old daughter. We tried to play some family game time the other night, and I had to go and find out whether I could fit it into her schedule. And a great cartoon here. Okay, I'll move ballet and you can read the rest of it. It's hilarious, but that's the situation our children are in today. So can we get back to playing and having fun? Even in schools today, recess is almost becoming a thing of the past. When I went to school, we went out at recess and we created our own games. Usually it was based on soccer, but it was out there. Nowadays, it's a struggle to get there. Even physical education is not the same as it used to be in schools. So we have to think outside the box and create situations where we can actually grow that in our own backyard, in our own clubs. So the Introduction to Soccer program is a coach, player, and parent educational clinic. It's geared toward building a better future for soccer, certainly here in Florida, and helping our national programs develop as an end product. So hopefully if you want some more information, you can contact either Mike Strickler, our contact information is up there on the screen, or myself, Mark Godwin, or Andrew Simpson, who's the coaching department program specialist. Please don't hesitate to contact us because we'd love to see these programs up and running at your club. If you want us to come out, we can arrange for that to happen as well. I can even give you a demo. The plan was that at our AGM this year, if we had a field session to this, we could show you how it all works. But unfortunately, we've had to improvise a little bit and we're creating that. The program will be available come the 1st of August. It's already set in place and I can share that with you at that point. So thank you for being part of this webinar tonight from the Coaching Education Department. I'm going to move over to Jared and see if we got any questions about the program coming through.
Hey, great job, Mark. Currently, out of everyone in the attendee room, we don't have any questions. But ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to ask something, once again, please use the chat box feature, or if you raise your hand, we can unmute your mic and we're able to address questions that way too. So let's give it a minute, and then Mark, it's entirely up to you on how you want to conclude this, and great job.
Thanks, Jared. I'll give it a little minute, see if anyone's still typing.
Mark, we do have a question from a Julie. Give me a moment. I will unmute her mic. Okay, Julie, if you could unmute your mic, you're able to ask any questions now, please.
Hey, Mark, and everybody else. It wasn't really a question. I just want to thank you for putting this on. This is something that's been very much what we've been trying to do with our club moving forward, and now this gives us a great basis to be able to, you know, generate some real development on this path. So I just I put my hand up earlier, and because I didn't know, I wanted to type something, and I took it back down. But I was just going to say I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. And Julie, let me ask you this: was I watching a webinar from the United Soccer Coaches with you on the other week?
Oh yeah, you were actually. Yeah.
I thought that was you on
that
there.
That was me. Thanks. That was me. Yeah, I got invited to go on it. It was very nice of them to invite me. Yeah.
No, Ian and Vince have done an amazing job during these interesting times in putting things together. So thank you for that. And hopefully, I mean, if you're interested, just shoot me an email and I will get the entire curriculum out to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll be doing that tomorrow. Thank you so much. And you guys are doing a great job. Thanks.
Thanks, Julie.
All right, Mark, I'm not seeing any other hands raised or questions, so we're free to conclude tonight, my friend. All back to you, Mark.
Well, thanks, everyone. And please don't forget, we got more webinars coming up in the coming weeks in our build up to our AGM in August. Thanks again.